Oh man, I'm trying to think.
Do you like Paranormal Activity?
No. I watched the first Paranormal Activity on a plane.
You know that's the best one, right?
The first one?
Out of like the 7, that's the best one.
I guess so. Like I fell asleep.
Sydney watched all 7?
Yes. I fell asleep in like 20 minutes.
You should watch some of the other ones.
Why?
They're very funny.
Oh, really?
They're really funny.
Like, look, I get the whole thing of like, oh, it was, you know, it was a really low budget film and Steven Spielberg liked it, so he greenlit it and blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm just like, bro, like, Live Leak is scarier than this shit. Like, it's just fucking...
Well, yeah, just fucking real.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think the problem with Paranormal Activity was that, like, it was trying to sell you on, like, the realistic aspect. But it's like, okay, I get it, you know, using the security camera footage and all that kind of shit. But it's like, if I know it's a movie... then it's just like immediately less scary.
Yeah, the scariest thing about like the Blair Witch was, you know, back in the day before the internet, there was, you know, there were rumors around that this wasn't actually a movie, but it was actually just real found footage.
Yeah.
And I feel like having that mystique to it, that's what made it scary. Because if you actually watch the Blair Witch knowing that it's a film, I think it's a lot less scary knowing that, you know, this is a film that was produced and filmed and scripted rather than, oh my God, we just found like a tape and we don't know what it is, you know?
And we're going to put it in the cinemas anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that you know what?
Don't give it to the police.
Look, we were a lot dumber back then, okay? A lot of the mystique has gone thanks to the internet now. But you might not remember this, but you know, as you know, when growing up before the age of the internet, things like this could exist. Like I remember, what was it, like Cannibal Holocaust or something?
Oh, yeah.
Like didn't like the director of that get arrested because people actually thought
it was real.
It was actually fucking real.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd heard that there were some horrendous things happening on set of that film anyway, but you know, it wasn't a snuff film.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Thankfully enough.
I would actually say that, like, as much as I don't like horror films, B-grade horror films are so fucking fun to watch because it's like immediately just from the scuffed nature of it, it just becomes more satirical and actually in a lot of ways actually just really entertaining and funny. The best B-grade horror film I ever watched was, do you know this movie called Dead Sushi?
No.
No, what is that?
So it was made by this guy called Takashi Miike, who is like the most like
infamous.
infamous.
Takashi Miike, okay.
He's like the most infamous Japanese director. But it's one of his. He made like a fuckload of B-grade horror films, but it's
a lot of them pretty fucked up as
and
well.
a lot of them are fucked up.
Yeah.
I think he actually used to like direct porn before he did that, which is hilarious. But like that's one of the ones that Aki showed me. It's essentially just this like story of, I'm trying to remember because it's been a while, but it's essentially like there's this like female lead who is you know, goes to like a sushi establishment because she wants to like learn the craft of like, you know, making sushi and stuff like that. And I think something along the lines of like some like radioactive waste spills onto some sushi, and then the sushi come alive and start killing people.
So Sausage Party, but Japanese.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, it's basically these sushi, but like they grow teeth and shit, and they're just like, and they just fucking fly through the air and kill people. It's so jank, but it's so hilarious and entertaining. And like there's a couple of scenes where it's like genuinely unnerving because it's a Miike film, right? Like he gets really gory with his films. I think he was the one that made what is it, Audition? That like really fucked up like snuff-like film.
Yeah, that was probably his most famous one.
Yeah, that's his most famous one. But like it's not as bad as that one. But yeah, he basically was just like, what would happen if sushi came back to
and then he also made Audition
and killed and then I'll make Audition as well, which is one of the most fucked up films ever made.
I feel like we were talking about this. I unlocked a core memory. I was like, I remember I talked to Sydney about horror film, and I think me and your editor Alan had watched a horror movie together on Netflix, and we both thought it was like really fucking stupid and funny. And then Sydney was talking about it like a month later. I was like, yeah, it's actually this is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's amazing. And I just, you know, it tells him, and I was like, oh, we watched that differently. It was called Cam. It's like it's a horror film, came out on Netflix 5 years ago. And it was about like a cam girl, but I think the cam girl goes like, I can't remember exactly.
Oh, I remember her talking about
like
this.
The cam girl goes live and she's seeing herself go live as the cam girl.
Yeah.
And I can't remember.
Every e-girl's worst nightmare.
Honestly, I remember her talking about this, and I'm just like, this sounds like a pretty interesting concept, especially in this day and age where I think, so what, as Connor said, there's a cam girl, that, you know, makes money doing cam girl stuff. But then like she wakes up one day and she just sees herself in a live stream. Live broadcasting.
I don't know if it's this one. I'm reading the plot and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's probably this one, right?
It is that one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Look at the difference between the IMDb and the Rotten Tomatoes.
IMDb 5.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 93%.
Oh, that's I can see which camp Sydney's in then. She's in the Rotten Tomatoes camp.
I just thought that like I watched it and I remember thinking like, I feel like it's kind of a cool idea, but also I remember the acting was like really bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's bad, but it was just like, I don't know.
That's definitely the killer for me with a lot of horror films, where it's like I hear a lot of synopsis for a lot of horror films, and I'm like, that's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
But the problem is, at least most of the ones I've seen,
The execution is
just so
Yeah.
fucked. Like it's like the acting is, and again, like that's why like Hereditary was so scary, because Toni Collette was such a good actress in that.
Do you know how you can get around that? YouTube summaries,
fuck's
baby.
Wait, you know
not
what?
doing that.
Actually, unlocking another memory. You know what movie I watched that I thought was actually pretty good? Or like it was kind of funnily good? The Invisible Man. Have you seen this one?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty
I've
good.
heard of that one.
He literally just terrorizes people with it.
It's like YouTube prank gone wrong times 100.
It's actually good, right? It was good.
It was
trying to
good.
remember. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think I remember I liked it and I thought that it was good. Like I'm trying to remember if I liked it.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good.
It was like actually intense.
Yeah, because the whole point of the tension, right? So let me frame the film from the beginning, okay? So this girl, I believe, dated like a super smart guy, right? And she breaks up with him, and I believe that, you know, the breakup didn't go well, but for one reason or another, she's really scared of this person, right? And then weird things start happening in her life. And it's to the point where she thinks that either like a ghost is fucking with her or someone else is fucking with her life, to the point where her life just spirals downwards. And she is convinced that her ex has something to do with it. And people are like, no, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And we don't know what is really going on behind the scenes until it gets revealed.
Right.
And that's spoiler territory.
The name of the movie gives it away.
Yeah, I feel,
It's called The Invisible Man.
yeah.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's called The Invisible Man.
Perhaps the one, the culprit is in the title.
But I felt like the way that, like, why that movie was good, at least from my memory, again, this is years ago, was that it was like, it felt helpless.
Yeah.
Because this guy's so OP.
Yeah.
like
Because
that.
oh no, I just remembered why it was called that. Because her ex is dead.
Oh.
This is why.
I gotta watch that movie again.
I'm hearing it out of context. I'm like, what?
You know what was a great horror film?
What?
Ford and Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
What a great movie.
But again, like that also like further proves my point of why like a lot of, again, Japanese horror is good, is because it's like, again, that idea of helplessness.
Yeah.
Right? Like in like The Grudge and like The Ring and like One Missed Call is a fucking terrifying film. The Japanese one. The American one is shit. They like completely botched that one. But the Japanese one is like genuinely terrifying. And it's because of this idea of like the unknown, right? It's like, I don't know what the fuck is terrorizing my life and killing me and killing all of my friends. But I'm going to get to the bottom of it and then fuck around and find out.
What about if like somebody was an invisible man and all they did was cut your nails perfectly every single night in your sleep? And you wake up and the nails
Like-
are on the bed. Like you know they're there every night.
Have you ever had that feeling? Have you ever had that feeling where it's just like, I don't know, something, you wake up one day and just something in your room or something is just off and you don't know if you just have shit memory or if like something is happening.
Or your partner is terrorizing your bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently in that phase again where I'm falling asleep to listening to like cave stories. I don't know why. Because it's been a few months, so they've made more videos. There's people who talk about it. And every time I go to bed now and I'm listening to that, like someone dying in a cave, I'm like, did I lock the door? Hopefully I locked the door.
Why are you listening to that before you go to bed?
I don't know. It's like these guys, because all the horror channels, like credit where credit's due, they're so monotone.
Right.
Like, they're never like hyped up about, like they're not like fucking YouTubers.
Yeah.
Right.
You will not believe what happened in this cave. It's always like, In this cave on January 14,
Oh, yeah,
1967, two kids went in and one guy came out. This is the story about the deadly cave, known as the Flucky Wucky Cave.
Wacky Wacky Cave.
I'll tell you what I've been listening while falling to sleep recently. It's I've been listening to, I guess, science and
I do that too
physics
sometimes.
videos.
I do that all the time.
And this is going to sound so bad, right? This is going to sound so bad because there's this one YouTube channel. I think it's called History of the Universe. Where he breaks down some like concepts to do with physics and puts like a really, really interesting story into it and gives like really interesting metaphors and basically goes through the entire history about how this discovery was made and how we came to discover, let's say, our perception of how time works. Can we time travel backwards and forwards? He basically goes through everything, and it's super, super interesting because a lot of the
Like
time,
the summoning salt of physics.
yeah, it's kind of like something. You actually said it perfectly. It's like basically the summoning salt of physics because I've heard a lot of
Pythagoras got a gold split.
because a lot of stuff.
And then Kepler came in.
And so we're gonna clip through time right now. We're gonna go through the fourth dimension.
And then Matt Turk turned up.
Because a lot of the stuff that he talks about, I already know because I'm super interested into this stuff anyway. But the way he portrays the information is just super, super interesting. And for some reason, helps me get to sleep like that. I discovered him when we were touring America. And for some reason, whenever I put a video on, and all of his videos are like at least 50 minutes minimum, right? And 50. So it's like 50.
It really
like,
is a summoning salt of
yeah.
physics.
Literally the summoning salt of physics, right? And I just like, for some reason, his voice is so calming that I get invested in his story. And then about 20 minutes in, I'm just like conked out. I wake up, this entire playlist is just done, right? And so
Every turn up knowing 1/5 of the physics class.
yeah. So every time he releases a new video, it takes me about 3 weeks to get through it because I'm like, I
keep falling asleep.
Because I keep falling asleep. I'm like, shit. This was such I want to know how this video ends. I need to see the entire video because it's a super interesting story. I get invested, and then even though I'm invested, I fall asleep. So I'm like, this is a night. This is a night.
Yeah,
through the video.
I've had that so often with like falling asleep to like Veritasium videos or like Kurzgesagt videos, and it's just like it's the tone at which they talk at, and the kind of slow pacing in nature, and like it's obviously just like the lack of like fucking YouTube sound effects and shit like that, right? Where it's like, oh, this is just like it's nice. It's like someone's just talking to me and just putting me to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Something about hearing people talk about just like physics concepts is just like
it's because there's no volume change.
Yeah.
No,
if you
no.
watch one of my videos, it's just like, bro, it looks like a fucking seismograph.
Yeah.
You can't tell anything.
Sure.